Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is SockBot, and, well, you guys knew that we weren't just going to use that level for one video, right? So, if you saw my recent video about the LittleBigPlanet anniversary, which was the 10th year anniversary of LittleBigPlanet, can't believe it's been that long, I actually made a level specifically for that video. I made a level based around one of the worlds in LittleBigPlanet 1, and also completely limited to all the tech and objects and materials that were in LittleBigPlanet 1. So today, I want to talk more about it, because, well, one, it took 40 friggin' hours to make, or more than that, so obviously I'm not just going to use that for one video, but two, there was a lot more that I kind of went through during that experience, not in like a bad way. But if you do enjoy this type of video, please leave a like down below. It lets me know that you like this as opposed to the other stuffs, or, you know, leave a comment if you want to chat, or subscribe if you want to see more of my face under some super bright lights. I hope that you can't see all my wrinkles like that weird episode of SpongeBob where it gets like super up close and super real.
They're actors.
But yeah, anyways, let's get into the video. So, we're going to split this into a few things, but first I specifically want to talk about, well, the easy thing, and that's the tech. The biggest thing about making a level completely limited by everything that was there in LittleBigPlanet 1 is the tech. Since LittleBigPlanet 1, we've gotten a lot of innovations on the different types of switches, the different types of counters and sequencers, that has made things so much easier. The biggest thing that they did when LittleBigPlanet 2 came out was introduce the microchip, and a bunch of things to go inside of it, like the timer and the AND switch and stuff like that. And this, as they said during the marketing, or, well, I don't know if it's marketing if it's a YouTube video, but as during the pre-release for LittleBigPlanet 2, they talked all about how you could fit something that took an entire, like, up and down entire level to create, which was like the calculator level, and you could scrunch that all into a single microchip. And that's definitely true, and it definitely appears going back to LittleBigPlanet 1. That being said, as someone who has created since then, and as someone who's probably spent more time creating in that than any other LittleBigPlanet, or definitely spent more time creating in that than any other LittleBigPlanet, except for maybe this one now, because this level took forever, it really wasn't that hard to go back, but largely because I knew all the tech. And basically, what I realized from this is that coming into LittleBigPlanet 3, it's just so much more accessible. Like, some people may think that with more switches and more things within the tools menu, it makes it more confusing, and that's partially true. It does make it harder to find the things that you're really looking for, but it also stops you from having to go on YouTube or go on GameFAQs or anything to actually find how to do a switch. Like, when you know you want to do this thing, but you don't know, one, what it's called, or two, how to, you know, make it. Regardless, that was the first thing that I noticed, and it really wasn't super difficult to go back to. The second thing was a little bit more. So this has to do with a lot of things that didn't exist in LittleBigPlanet 1, or that kind of, sort of did, but regardless, their main point was brought through glitches. And all of the glitches that were available in LittleBigPlanet 1 are obviously not available in LittleBigPlanet 3, where I ended up creating this level, because I don't know how to record on a PlayStation 3. It was all, well, for the most part, possible. So one of the ones that I used pretty often, I don't know if you really call it a glitch so much as like a visual type of, yeah, it's probably like a visual glitch, and this had to do with a lot of the newer materials in LittleBigPlanet 2 and 3 that are invisible and allow you to stick certain things to them, but also, you know, keep them invisible. For example, if you want something to float around, and so you use like a ghost and then a piston connected to something, well, that something is going to be visible because there's no way to make things invisible in LittleBigPlanet 1. So, for the most part, what people would do is take something like either the rubber material or more often the dark matter material, which also was the only way to make things, you know, float in midair. They would take those materials and then you'd shrink them as small as possible, because the way that the corners worked on those, when you shrunk them that small, the corners wouldn't be able to corner anymore, I guess, and so they'd be completely invisible. So I had to use that quite a few times, but also, you know, not being able to create, like, complete barriers between areas, like invisible walls and stuff like that, was somewhat frustrating, so I had to end up doing pretty much the same thing. So in addition to those sorts of materials, there were a lot of other glitches in LittleBigPlanet 1, but I didn't really want it to get into the super complicated ones. I know there's a few that let you jump higher, but I didn't really find a need for that in this level. There were other ones that let you create things in the back layers, but considering we have 16 layers in LittleBigPlanet 3, I don't know if that's possible anymore, but all of these glitches basically allowed you to create a more complex level. It just required you to work a little bit harder and know a little bit more to get to that point. But there actually was one other glitch I ended up using that I didn't really... It's not still possible, but it's still available. Let me explain. So at one point I wanted to make, a certain material slippery so that you wouldn't end up getting stuck on it when you were supposed to be sliding into another area. Because I do find that some people will do that and then they'll be behind a piece of terrain and it'll be impossible to see their character and they'll get frustrated. I have that with friends. So instead I actually went onto the community. And so there are certain levels in LittleBigPlanet 1 that would kind of screenshot or grab these sort of things and save them as items and then give them to you so that you wouldn't have to create the glitch yourself and you could just use that version and work off of that to create them. And so this is super useful because in LittleBigPlanet 1 there was a glitch that allowed you to give one material the properties of another one. And if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it happened by placing down an object or a certain part of material, for example sponge, and then turning it into horrible gas and then changing the material while it was still horrible gas to something like glass, for example, and then taking off the horrible gas, and it would look like the last material that you changed it to, but it would have the properties of the first material that you changed it from. So for me in this example, I would have taken glass, turned it to horrible gas, then changed the material to look like the dirt that I wanted to be slidey, and then taking off of horrible gas to make it work like glass. There's a lot of gas and glass in there. It's like high school all over again. Anyways, what I could have done was that in a very early version of LittleBigPlanet, but given that that was patched out, I had to find it on the community, and it was still possible. So, yeah, limited to LittleBigPlanet 1, but working how we did in the good old days. If that's how I'm supposed to say it when I sound like a, 24-year-old grandpa? I'm trying my best. So then moving on from the sort of glitchy part, because that's probably the one I'm going to get crap for, is using the glitches that were available in LittleBigPlanet 1, but we used them, so it's okay. It's my rule set, I can do what I want. So moving on from that, I just hit something on my doorknob. What I wanted to talk about last had to do with the sort of difficulty and comfort of creating something with only 3 layers, and the simplification of the, basically, the limits that you had when you were creating a level. Probably could have just said that a lot easier. But anyways, when you created something in LittleBigPlanet 1, obviously you only had 3 layers. LittleBigPlanet 2, same thing. And when LittleBigPlanet 3 was introduced, if you didn't know, they introduced 16 layers to create with, which is great because it gives you so many more options. And in this level, I would have loved it because it would have made things a lot easier when I wanted to put stuff behind the level, or when I wanted to hide stuff there, or create things that were deeper, or just add more depth in the level in general. But it also makes you feel like there's a lot more space that you need to fill. So for example, if I was allowed to create that depth, obviously I would have used it, because if I didn't, well, why wouldn't I? And when that depth is created, then you have another dimension to sort of decorate it. So it's just a lot more space to fill for a level like this. And this is kind of related to something I've talked about that's going to happen within Dreams. When you give someone more freedom like that and simplify some tools, you give them a lot more space to do more and to create something more complicated and more unique. But you also put them under the pressure to do something more complicated and more unique. And when we move into Dreams from LittleBigPlanet 3 as the sort of spiritual successor to that sort of create mode, what's going to happen is we're going to get a lot less restrictions, given everything starts in 3D, but because of that, there's going to be so much more space to fill, and you can be as creative as you want, but that's just a lot of time to create all of those different things. And I think that I'll be taking my own advice and all of my time-saving techniques even more so within Dreams, but there was something particularly nice about going to just 3 layers with that sort of simple thing, and also technologically being limited to what we could create within the sort of switches and stuff we could create ourselves, like permanent switches and those kinds of things within LittleBigPlanet 1, but also you know, not being stressed out to create something that's wildly unique. And this is something that I haven't received comments about it yet, and I'm kind of happy about that. But I figure once I start creating 2D platformers within Dreams, people are gonna be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not using 3D? Why are you not using this and that and this and that? And well, it's up to personal preference. And also, it's really hard to create a full big 3D platformer. There's a siren on, isn't there? It's really hard to create a full 3D platformer all by yourself. And you know, moving into this thing, I do expect to see a lot of more simplified levels that use some of the gimmicks and some of the excitement of that 3D, but also I kind of expect what we saw at the beginning of LittleBigPlanet 2, where we got so many new options with the control-inator, but a lot of people use that to make even simpler levels than the original LittleBigPlanet. So hopefully we'll see something interesting like that. In that way I don't have to feel pressured to create another Dark Souls within the first week of Dreams, because I have an other person job too, and like I do things during the day that aren't just play LittleBigPlanet, shockingly. Alright, that's not true, but like sometimes I try to, and then I end up playing all night, and well, that's why a video like this and a level like that comes out after so many freaking hours of working on it. Yeah, Day of the Dead level. It's December. We'll see if I have the time to create a Christmas level. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed. I know this was a bit all over the place, but it was a very long level. There were a lot of thoughts and stuff, and this is the most I could simplify it down, was to those three things. So if you guys have anything to, you know, add to this, or if you have any comments about your transition from the earlier LittleBigPlanet games, or if you've never played the newest LittleBigPlanet, let me know in the comments down below, because I love talking about this stuff and kind of seeing where other people are. So, you know, tell me if I'm crazy, or tell me if you're also crazy, and then we can be crazy together. Crazies forever. Is that still PC? Are we not allowed to say that anymore? Anyways, hope you all are doing well. I will talk to you all in the next video, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. That was from another YouTuber, but this one is from this YouTuber. Bye! Bye, guys. Bye.